Okay, I think we are live. This is episode 1 of the Outdoor Cameraman Experience.
And slow it down. Hold it. Center it up.
Oh, it's really bad. My printer sucks.
We don't have motion graphics capabilities, so that's our primitive way of posting up some motion graphics. Good job, Jess.
I tried. So today, I guess we're going to explain to you about what the show is going to be about, types of guests we're going to have, things we're going to talk about. So I'll let Jake kind of take it away for a few minutes here.
Yeah, so we've got, we got 3 viewers on right now. Just wanted to make a quick introduction. You know, we've been posting ads and promo campaigns all over social media as best as we could over the last few days. And now we're here. Now it's time. And I think what we want to do is let you guys know what we're going to be doing, what this show's all about, how we met, became colleagues in business, and all those great things. So let me see here. Today, the concept of this whole show, the Outdoor Cameraman Experience, is for us, Jess and I, to talk about all cameraman outdoor things. We're going to talk about cameras, equipment. We're going to talk about how we do things, how we operate our businesses, who we know, what they know, and pretty much everything goes. So, if this is something that's interesting to you, you can come here now. You don't have to go to YouTube. We're going to, a lot of this is going to be ad lib. A lot of it's, it's all stand up and live. So it's not the easiest thing for us to do, but we're going to do our very best. Hopefully we'll be entertaining, and you guys can chime in with questions. There's there's places for you to comment, and if you ask a question and it's pertinent and we have time to get to it, then we're going to try to do our best to answer those questions.
Yep. So it's the idea of it, I guess, is kind of like a hybrid podcast / live stream / vlog. Like, it's going to kind of encompass all of those platforms. And then we're going to just hit it up, I think, weekly on Facebook here is the plan. So if you don't know who I am Jessica DeLorenzo, and I run DeLorenzo Photography, and I partner with Jake with Latendresse Media Collective. My background is as a photographer. I do lots of wedding photography and portrait photography, and over the last few years, I've transitioned into the outdoors realm as well and worked on a lot of projects with Jake. And Jake Latendresse here is an outdoor videographer / photographer extraordinaire. He's got tons of experience. I think we'll have no lack of stories to share with you guys.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about how we met, Jess. I think I should initiate that because I'm the one that contacted you first.
You kind of creeped me.
Yeah. I'm not a creep. But I had to prove myself. I think, what was it, 3 years ago?
Longer than that now, I think.
Maybe almost 4 years ago, I was doing what everyone else does, and I was scrolling through Instagram, and I ran across this page, and I noticed this lady who had some really clean. Yeah, I know whether to call you a girl or a woman or a mom or whatever. So. Yeah, I ran across Jess's page, and I saw some really interesting videos. There was a young man that was helping her out with her videos at the time, and the videos were very interesting. And I started scrolling through her page, and I noticed how organic and real she looked with all of her content. So, I immediately sent her a private message or a direct message on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? I'd really like to introduce myself. My name's Jake Latendresse. I love your content. Wondering if you wanted to be friends and perhaps do some projects together." And it's so funny because the first response I got from you, Jess, was very professional. It was like, oh, okay, she thinks I'm a creep. she's like, yes, I like to achieve certain goals with my photography. And anyhow, over time, Jess and I have worked on lots of different projects. I met her family. She's met mine. I've been to her house. She's been to my house. We've worked on trout fishing projects up in Wyoming. We've done turkey hunts, deer hunts, all kinds of stuff. And I would have to say that, this has probably been one of the best relationships I've had in the working industry, because Jess is so qualified. I mean, you should see her. She's far more than what you see on her Instagram or her social media platforms. Just fan off, Jess. Fan off. Jess she's a graphic designer. She does lots of logos that we do for different clients. She's a very well organized administrator when we build websites for people. And there you go. Look, believe me, I did not make those notes. She did. And she's also an extraordinary photographer, which is what we're going to get into later because it's relevant to the show. And all those things. So she works with lots of different companies and brands in the outdoor industry, and we've just really meshed well together in business, and she's become a very trustworthy friend of mine. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jessica DeLorenzo.
Well, thank you. I think you're fluffing my ego a little. But yeah, when you first contacted me, and this goes for anybody, I mean, I'm not looking to just go work with everybody who sends a message or go on hunts with whoever. I mean, I needed to know that you were a legit, respectable person. So when you get messages on social media, you're like, I don't know. So yeah, I kind of put you through a little bit of an interview process, I guess.
We're all qualified to be FBI agents, aren't we?
Yeah. But yeah, it worked out great. And I think that our lives parallel a lot. Your wife is a wedding photographer and a portrait photographer. So we talked a lot about that in the beginning. And I've met Laura, and she's super sweet and a super mom. And you guys have a great family dynamic going on. And I saw that, and I don't know, my gut feelings were you're living the type of life that I'm living, and we had things in common. And then to partner on the outdoor projects was just a super bonus. So, yeah, it kind of just built on from there.
I think it's important for me to note too that, I wasn't really looking for someone to partner up with, but then once, I got to know you a little bit better and things were meshing really well, I thought, you know what, this is great, because as many women as there are from people like you on the stage, on the platform out there promoting women's recruitment and involvement, participation in the outdoor world, I felt like it was really important for me to partner with a female. And after scrolling through the big Instagram Rolodex of women, you really popped out as being, the most qualified, and it just worked out. So anyhow, I'm glad we're working together. This is going to be a great show. Hopefully we're both entertaining enough to keep people engaged. And, welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah. Episode 1. So we should probably talk about how we started building LMC, some projects that we started working on, and just how we kind of fell into this working relationship that we have. I would say that, in addition to us both working cameras, you're kind of the face a little bit. You're a little bit more of the networker and everything, and I'm kind of like the organizer. I do lots of behind the scenes things. So one of the first projects I think we worked on together was probably the first whitetail hunt we went on, right?
I think so. Yeah, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. And that was, let's face it, that was a little bit, maybe a little awkward because we hadn't really met. We had communicated online, and then all of a sudden we have to meet at deer camp, and then we have to go sit in a tree all day together and come up with things to talk about and all those things. So yeah, that dynamic, I felt like it flowed really well. And then And then after that, we went to Wyoming we went to the Miracle Mile. My good buddy Grant Hugh at St. Pete's Fly Shop here in Fort Collins, he set us up with a really great float trip in the wintertime. And I remember thinking when we invited you on this, you and your husband on this trip, what we wanted to do was like develop this fishing trip video and photo content in like this nasty weather. We wanted to make it dramatic. And it's in February. It's in southwest Wyoming. We're like, this is going to be great. There's going to be snow all over the ground. It's going to be completely frozen Arctic. And we're going to catch these big trout.
That's not exactly how it went through my mind. I'm like, this is going to be cold. How am I going to keep my batteries warm? I'm going to be wet. It's going to be freezing. How am I going to use my fingers?
Right. But as it ended up, it turned out to be, 65-degree weather, no wind at all. And we started filming. At the time, we were doing some things for K2 coolers, which we won't get into the whole cooler thing. But we were filming some things for K2 coolers, and we started on this video project, a series called K2 Stories. And so our concept was to build a developing sequential episodic series of 60-second commercials. And this was really before Instagram, these video commercials had really exploded on Instagram. It was literally still a very personable, non-commercial platform. And so we wanted to build these series so that each 60-second episode developed into a full story. And we caught they did. I didn't catch a fish. I was filming, but they caught lots of really nice fish, and the footage turned out great. We had beautiful weather, and that really got us rolling. Okay.
Back up, because we had a plan of having 2 boats, and you would be doing most of the filming from boat number 2. Yeah. So we launched, and I've got all the photo equipment in boat number 1, and Jake is following in boat number 2, and all of a sudden, boat number 2 is nowhere to be seen.
And I'm holding my red up because your husband Mark and we tipped the boat over because we were in a.
You guys are way off. So those are some challenges to overcome outside. Is keeping your center of gravity with a 40-pound camera and 2 guys in a boat rocking on the waves.
Yeah, that's actually a great topic for us to talk about because. I get when I post pictures on my social media with me and my camera in the water, I always get these, what are you going to do? And lo and behold, I actually dunked my red dragon in the swamp down in Texas the other day. So that is definitely one of those examples of, being around water, like on this floating fly fishing trip, we got lucky and we didn't dump the camera in the water, but other times you can't, so you got to be careful out there and get insurance. It pays, trust me.
For sure.
So then what happened
on the Wyoming trip?
Well, maybe we should move on from that and just continue talking about how our working relationship and friendship developed through these experiences.
Continuing gathering clients, we started also managing some social media and doing web design. So for a few months there, I was managing a whole bunch of different redesigns, and one of our clients was an outfitter. So we had booked some films to do for them. So that brought us up to Nebraska again for turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started working with Ryan Livingston up at Prairie Rock Outfitters. And they have it all. They had everything in one container. So, and plus he's a great guy and is an honest guy. So we started developing a relationship with him. Then this past fall, Jess comes to Nebraska during one of the greatest whitetail ruts that I can ever remember. And Jess, she fulfills a lifelong goal. We got everything on film, or I say film, we got everything recorded on camera. And I think that really took things to a different level because we got we accomplished a goal that's a very difficult goal to accomplish.
Yeah, that was, I mean, on top of being able to do the work there, which is always fun, just be able to be the one hunting and I still think back to that day. It's just like so incredible. And the moment when we laid eyes on that deer, it was just like, oh my God, finally, I cannot believe.
We were both crying.
Yeah, there was crying.
Yeah, I cried. I'm a crier. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed of that.
I should have videoed you crying. It would have went viral on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you had started to touch on was some of the differences in the dynamics that we have, where I'm more of a hands-on filmmaker, field producer kind of person. And while, we both do photography and film work, your forte really is organization and administration. You've been extremely, fortuitous with that and very, very helpful, because I'm not. I hate paying bills. In fact, I got to go pay some bills today because I forgot last week.
Yeah, paying the bills is usually the key.
Maybe you should start paying my bills. But yeah, so that's sort of really how we mesh and how it linked together was, we both do the same things, but we do some different things that complemented each other, and I think that kind of helped us get rolling as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am a little bit, I think, more type A than you. Like, I kind of need to know what we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're doing it, where we're going, who's picking us up, where we're staying, what's the address. Let me Google that, make sure it's legit. And so I'm kind of the fact checker, I think, where you're a little bit more of the go-getter. Like, you get these ideas and you grab them.
Takes you at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to stop that. Jake wakes up at about 4 a.m. and doesn't go to bed until about 1 a.m. So there's a long span of time where you can get random text messages at any given point of the day.
Yeah, and if you try to contact her in the middle of the night and she doesn't answer, it's because I made her turn her phone off, because I used to text her late at night with these ideas. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And let's go back to right now. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, in my studio, and Jess is in Bangor, Pennsylvania, in her office studio. So, and again, here's another example of how this dynamic worked out. I'm like texting Jess one day going, hey, what do you think about this experiment or this project called the Outdoor Cameraman Experience? We'll do a live feed broadcast / podcast / vlog, and we'll do it on Facebook. That way it doesn't cost us anything. What do you think about that?
For now.
For now. And so immediately, those dynamics, when I sent that to Jess in communication, she started going to work on her keyboard. She Googled and she found a space for us to be able to broadcast on and transfer that to Facebook, which is where we are now. So, again, that was another one of those things. I came up with this idea. She liked it. And then she took the initiative to find this digital space for us to be able to utilize as our platform.
Yeah, you travel a lot more, obviously, than I do. So you're usually on the road when we're planning and coming up with ideas and brainstorming. So while you're out there, I'm usually finding all of the pieces kind of to materialize some of the ideas, which I like. I like doing all of the organizing and keeping things together. It's like a weird trait, I guess. I don't know. But I like it. So it works out well, I think. And I think on the flip side too, you kind of bring out a little bit more spontaneity in what I'm doing in the field as well, which is really awesome.
I'm getting a text. I'm actually getting a text message from someone that's viewing right now. Uh-huh. Yeah, so let's talk about your background as a wedding photographer and how you transcended that into the outdoor world.
Well, my background starts right out of college. I graduated with a graphic design degree, and I worked as a designer full-time for several years. And in the meantime, I started a photography business, which kind of started as little small projects here and there and just kind of kept evolving into bigger and bigger things until I started doing weddings full-time. And
Which you're very good at.
Thank you. Works out great. I get to do a lot of go to different places. I've shot weddings in Colorado and all over the tri-state area here. So I have a lot of fun doing that. But also my passion lies outdoors. So I started transitioning a few years ago into the outdoors industry, working with different companies, doing product photography and editorial. Some magazine covers are behind me up here. I really enjoy that side of things as well. I don't really have any preferences as far as whether I'm working in the studio or outside, as long as it's something that I'm interested in. So the wedding photography is something I still do, and that kind of limits my scheduling a little bit as well, because I book out 2 years in advance. So I have to be a little bit strategic around hot times of the year, like the rut and turkey season and things like that, so that I can have a little bit of availability.
Yes, so don't get married in October, November, December.
Yeah. So if you are inquiring about a wedding on the opening day of deer season, I may object to it. But yeah, I have a lot of fun doing the wedding photography, and the business built up over, it was a lot of work in the beginning. I was doing as much as I possibly could, working 2 days a weekend, editing all week long. And now I'm at a point where I can kind of strategically schedule, which is really great. And I have a few people who work for me here and there. So the wedding side of things is good. And I think that it prepared me a lot when I started doing things outdoors, because as much as there's a huge difference between a wedding photographer and hunting or an outdoors photographer, weddings are completely unpredictable as well. So it taught me a lot on how to react in situations and get really comfortable with my settings, and just have a natural feeling for when there's the elements change or there's variables that I need to react to immediately, which that transcends into the outdoors as well.
I think your business concept as well, you should go to her website, DeLorenzoPhoto.com. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And check out her wedding images, because her imagery, because and her business sense. So when you look at her website, you can clearly see how what she does in her wedding industry transcends into the outdoor industry, because A, she learned how to market herself, which is very, very important, and B, she learned how to develop this platform that paints a pretty picture around her already amazing photography. So she was I've learned a lot from you myself, Jess, just being around you at times, and particularly in the organizational skills.
Well, I'm glad to be of service there.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about your background as well before you started LMC? Because you've worn many different hats so far as a photographer and videographer, and I think it's really interesting. We could probably do a whole episode just on that, but I think people would be interested to know where exactly you come from.
Yeah, that goes way back. Many
How far
years
back?
Far enough. Yeah, it goes way back to really the late 1990s, when I was a rock and ice climber outside of my hunting activities.
That would have been better if you said the late 90s, when I was a rock and roll something.
Yeah, rock and roll fan. I was a rock and roll fan. Yeah, so anyhow, I was climbing up in Alaska. I'll make this story as short as I can. I was climbing up in Alaska, and the Alaska range, and just happened to take a really lucky photo of a mountain called Mount Hunter, which was a very famous mountain in the climbing world. Snapped a few shots and sent them to a few different print publications. There was no digital space at the time. It was all print. And literally like 2 years later, one of those shots made the cover of the North Face catalog, which at the time was highly coveted. Like, it was just one of those magazines that everyone wanted to get into. And so that built my confidence and energy level to continue doing photography on a professional level. So I did, and I started working with Patagonia, publishing photos in their catalogs, and then eventually on their digital space. And then one thing led to another. And then back in 2002, I filmed a deer hunt in western Nebraska on the Platte River and sent the film to Jay Gregory at the Wild Outdoors, because at the time he was the guy. He was the up and coming best whitetail bow hunter that I could clearly see on outdoor television space. And so I sent that video to him. He was excited about it, which got me excited about it. And then one thing led to another. I met Jim Ronquist at RNT. Then I met Shannon Nardi at Water Dog TV and the Super Retriever series. And those people, who are still my very best friends in the world, helped me move up in the outdoor world. And now, I can look down without, being too arrogant about it, and look down at my resume and see that, I've worked for a lot of different brands, a lot of different people, lots of great people, lots of great brands, and we still do. And so, and here we are. Sometimes things just happen serendipitously, but I think once you and I can both speak in the same direction here, that if something happens, and this is advice to all you young aspiring photographers and filmmakers out there, if something happens serendipitously and you find yourself with a good opportunity, jump all over it and attack it, because that's where you get your start, and that's how your story begins, and you just continue building it from there. So it's do this, achieve this, repeat, 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 repeat.
I get a lot of questions and messages from people who are asking that exact question. How do I get started in the outdoor industry, or whatever? How do I do what you're doing? And I don't have any answer. Like, there's no salute, like
there's no magic dust.
Yeah, there's no magic dust. But exactly what you said. I mean, you have to look for opportunities and make the opportunities. And even if they're not so glamorous in the beginning, you just have to keep plugging away. It's a lot of work. Nobody just posts a resume somewhere and all of a sudden they're the top of whatever field. So to take every opportunity that you can and make the best of it, I think is the best advice that we can give anybody who's asking that question.
And work hard, stay honest, because that's one of the things I think you and I share in common, is that we're very truthful and upfront with each other. And I think when you transcend that and cast that out there into the industry, people realize that over time, and as that trust builds with certain people and brands, they bring you into their little circle, and that's when you get into the industry. And it's really about building trust and just being a good person. I believe you're going to go further by working hard and being patient and having integrity than you would if you were really aggressive and you plagiarized and whatever. You do all these different weird things because you don't know any better. You don't have the patience to just wait on things to happen progressively. Mm-hmm. So just be patient, everybody. Everybody's, jockeying for pole position right now. And I can tell you right now, unless you get really lucky, you're not just going to fall right into place. You have to earn your way in there.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to talk about the segment? We're halfway through. We're at 9:04 right now, or 9:03 right now. Should we talk about some of the segments and layouts and workflows that we're going to be working on? Oh, I'm getting text messages from a lot of people.
They should be commenting. Tell them to comment on the.
Yeah, I think they are. I'm not. I'm going to have to click over. How do I see all?
Yeah, Jay can see them all.
There we go.
Yeah, we can respond to a couple people here, and then we can talk about some upcoming episodes and topics that we're going to cover.
Mm-hmm. So we're halfway through every show, every episode. We're gonna stop twice. Once halfway to do a little segment called Tip of the Day. I know that's really unique and different, but I think a show like this, since we're going to be talking about camera equipment, techniques, experiences and all those things, we need to talk about some tips, and we also need to talk about products. So halfway through each show, we're going to have tip of the day, and at the end of each show, what did we say we were going to do at the end? Product focus.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Product snapshot.
Okay. That's the end of the show segment where we will feature products from different companies. And you got to understand, like, I don't get free Reds. We don't get free Canons. We don't get free camera equipment. So any of the things that we talk about are legitimate products that we find to be useful in our everyday environment. So don't think we're just plugging something because they're paying us or they're giving us free stuff. Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah,
Brandon's out there. Yeah. We will do that. We're just not
doing that if you've got good product. But no, currently the show is completely a DIY, and we are not sponsored by anyone specifically for this show. So if we are highlighting something for you, it's because we're actually using it in the field and we find it beneficial and we believe in it. So take it to heart.
Yes. So, we'll have products on hand. We're going to show them to you guys. We may even have, did you work out the digital space where we can pop up a third photo, or like a photo or something?
Yeah, I did work it out earlier in the non-live version of this, but then since I logged in, it will not refresh my albums, so I can't pull them in right now. I have to do it before you log in.
Okay, so
for next time.
Yeah, so everyone, hopefully this show is going to build some traction. We're going to get more viewers, and as that happens, hopefully we're going to be able to improve everything that we do digitally as well. This is obviously our first show, so I think everything looks great and it's going well so far. But definitely look for some improvements. I'm getting some questions up here that maybe should address real quick.
I was just going to say we should talk about when you dipped your red in the river here. And Tyson wants to know what kind of insurance or secondary insurance options you can buy for your gear.
Yeah, Tyson Woods. I dunked my red Dragon. I was on filming a bullfrog hunt with Alex Brittingham and John Phelan down in South.
So dragons can swim?
No, dragons do not swim. Not at all. Anyhow, I turned my back literally for 5 seconds, and my camera, this is my replacement, but my other Dragon was on a set of sticks on the front of the boat. We stopped, and I was reaching down to grab a frog that one of my friends had missed, and when the boat stopped, the camera kept going, and it tipped over on the side. Alex said, "Oh my goodness!" It went silent, and everything was in slow motion. And I looked down, and my camera was upside down in the water. We had to come back to it to get it. I grabbed it by the tripod, lifted it up out of the water, and it was completely dead. Okay, so that's the destruction and the demise of the camera. I knew at that time, it wasn't funny. Oh yeah, and so I'm insured with a insurance company called Allianz, Allianz. They do not pay me. I pay full price for my insurance, unfortunately, but I have over the years, over a 20-year career, I have lots of invested money and time and sweat equity in a lot of my equipment. So I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago, no, I'm sorry, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I started an insurance policy and just continued to add to it over time. And this has happened to me twice now, and both times it's paid off. So I would definitely encourage anyone out there that's got cameras that are let's say over $5,000 worth of camera equipment. I think it's probably a really, really good idea for you to invest in. I think you can get it through your homeowner's insurance. That's one way to go, but don't forget to read the small print in homeowners, because it may or may not cover you if you're traveling overseas, or you're, in some I don't know, you might be somewhere where it's not covered. So you have to understand the specifics before you get involved in a homeowner's insurance policy. On the other hand, if you buy a marine policy, which is what I have, it's like the same coverage that covers boats, motors, fishing rods, things like that. That's where my policy falls into, and it covers me in any country in the world. It covers. I have a $1,500 deductible, but I have lots of expensive equipment, so it definitely pays off.
On another note to that, I am a member of the Canon Professional Services, and I just got my stuff back. I got about 6 of these boxes in the mail today. I belong to that, and I pay for a yearly membership because they provide, with that membership, depending on what level you're at, a certain number of maintenance and cleanings, significantly discounted repair, and depending on what level you are on, you can get free rental equipment, or they also offer overnight shipping. So since I'm outside all the time, my stuff gets full of dust and it's dirty, and I mean, I could sit and painstakingly clean it all and probably do more damage to it than good. So every year I have this membership, and I'm sure there's a Nikon equivalent. I don't know what it is. But I send my stuff in, and they do like 11-point checks on all my lenses and clean everything. And then it gets sent back all shiny and fresh and clean. And then usually what happens is I keep UV filters or polarized filters, but usually UV filters on all of my lenses to keep the good glass from getting scratched. And working outside, I'm constantly like nicking them and banging them on the ground. So my filters get dented onto my lenses constantly, which I should be using a lens hood maybe to avoid that. But since I don't, anyway, I send them in all the time for that specific reason. They take my lens filters that are dented and jammed onto my lenses and take them off. So that's what the most recent repairs that I've had to have done. But I just had all my lenses cleaned and refreshed and make sure everything's in good working order. They take a good shutter count of my camera bodies and clean out everything on the inside there too. So that's not an insurance policy, but it's a really good membership. And if you're on a Nikon or Sony equivalent, even better. So definitely good to keep your camera gear clean. Keeps things in good working order.
Take good care of it, because this stuff will last a long time, even though a lot of these pieces of equipment like cameras and lenses become obsolete after 2 years because technology advances. A lot of them stick around for a long time, like that lens in the background in your set, the 70-200. I mean, those things last forever if you take care of them. You don't want to get moisture in them because it'll promote mold growth, because the light will enter the element, the front element, and literally spawn or germinate mold. Yeah. So you got to be really careful with that stuff. This is a great conversation, because these are all things that we're going to get more into as the show develops. We're going to talk about, how to clean your equipment, what to do, what not to do, how to change lenses in the field, where to send it to get it cleaned. All these things, we're going to try to answer all these questions over the next 10 years.
We're getting made fun of for our headsets. George thinks our headsets are wacky. Hi to Kara and
Kara and Grant are out in the woods turkey hunting.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, these are people we work with as well. Lots of good people out there.
Patrick asked, what type of lens filters do you use for wildlife? But I would say that probably just depends on what type of wildlife you're shooting. So if you're shooting anything in the water, polarized lens filters. For the most part, I just use regular UV filters, kind of get out the blue haze. But I don't know if you use anything specific.
Yeah, I use, there's lots of different neutral density filters with different types of filtration. What's the word I'm looking for? Diffusers. So I typically go with, I think I talked about this one time on a drone, little drone tip that I did. I use circular polarizers for a lot of different things. I'm on water a lot because I shoot a lot of fishing events, but I also use them on like overcast days or not overcast, partly cloudy days where it's super bright. The clouds become a diffusing filter, but when the sun peeps around the corner of a cloud, it gets super bright. And on those days, I still use a circular polarizer, and I adjust the circular lens on it until I get the look that I want, so that the brights or the bright lights aren't too hot, yet you don't darken things too dark.
But definitely moving on, we are going to cover all sorts of technical subjects, how we react in different scenarios, how we prepare for trips, all sorts of things. Maybe some gear packing lists here and there.
Yeah, I think that's really important. A lot of, I think what's important about this show is that the reason we developed it is because we get, as individuals and as a group, we get questions all the time from people about what kind of camera should I buy, what kind of filter do you use, what's the best tripod out there, all these things. And instead of having to answer the same question a million times, we felt like it would be important for us to start a talk show like this so we could address these things and really cast it out there to anyone that wants to watch it. We have nothing to hide. We're going to be transparent and honest with you guys. I mean, there may be a few secrets that we don't want to give away.
And there may be a few answers that I don't know how to give.
and if we don't know the answer, we're going to tell you we don't know the answer. But all that's going to do is energize us to find someone that either can answer it or find a space where you can learn that. And we're going to learn along with you guys if we don't know the answers.
We are going to have a bunch of guests as the weeks go. We are going to have a couple of producers, some other videographers, a whole bunch of different people to share their experiences and a couple of their tips as well too. So you'll be able to ask them questions live, and that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
like
we all
3 split screen.
Yeah, we all have different, creative directions. We all have different theories on what makes things tick. We all have a different look. We all have different eye colors, which makes us see things different. And so, having these guests on here that are credible, legit, professional photographers, videographers, filmmakers, producers, all those things, we're gonna try to get them to share their experiences with you guys, so we all learn the same things together. It should be really entertaining. I'm gonna scroll through some of these questions real quick. I think we missed a couple. James Fott, he's heading to Alberta to film a bear hunt in a few weeks. Ironically, so am I. Any tips? Yeah, don't let the bears eat you. and we're actually doing I'm going to be with Sierra Langbull. She's got a black bear. I'm not going to give it all away, but it's a pretty unique bear hunt coming up with her. She's going to be hunting with a bow, and I'm going to be over her shoulder filming her progress and hopefully her success. And I'm going to go as light as I can. I'm going to pack small camera gear. I'm going to be taking my red, but I don't think I'll take my red out into the field. I'll be shooting a Canon to keep things small and simple and mobile and on the run.
Yeah, hopefully not.
not on the run like that way, on the run that way. Yeah, so good question. What else do we have here?
Let's see. Zach
Trevor,
is. Oh, go ahead. I was
Trevor,
say Zach, oh my gosh.
Here we go. After you, ladies first.
Okay. Zach Kellerman wants to ask a question. He's saying he shoots with a camera phone and he has different thoughts on front light versus backlight. What are your thoughts on backlight with your cameras, Jake?
Do you want to address that, or do you want me to?
I love backlight. I think if you know how to use backlight correctly, you can get those really neat hazy effects. You can get all the sun flares and things like that people put filters on, but you can actually achieve those in your camera, and you can achieve them with camera phones as well. So the camera phones nowadays, half the time you can't even tell it was taken with a cell phone. Some of them are really, really high end. And I think that if you mess around where you're focusing by tapping your screen and things like that, you should be able to adjust the exposure. And by keeping so for instance, if it's the sun, if you can get the source of the light in just the very edge of your crop, you're going to be able to get a really neat flare and still expose your subject in the foreground. So try messing around with that.
I think, to elaborate on that concept too, using the corner of your frame to diffuse and block the light, you can use objects like a tree trunk or leaves in the foreground. You can hide the sun to diffuse that light so you don't flood your lens with this this immense amount of light coming from, the largest light source in the solar system that we know of. So be careful with that. But yeah, and I like to move around. When I get into a situation, I'm looking for lens flares. I like to move around until I see it, and then I stop, I take a deep breath, and I snap it. So yeah, that's a great question. That's something that you see a lot of now. A lot of people are going to these, lifestyle / creative, fancy looks, and while it's all starting to look the same, it's still always beautiful. And using the sun to your advantage is one of those things that that's very popular now.
Mm-hmm. You can do the other guy.
Did ESPN approach me about filming the classic, or are there an entire third party that films it? Yeah, that's a great question. So the people that produce Bassmaster Television is a company called JM Associates, and this is a whole episode on within itself too, because the story of JM Associates goes way back in outdoor television. JM stands for Jerry McInnes, who is, in my opinion, the godfather of outdoor television. He started the Fishing Hole, which was at one time, it still is, the longest running episodic television series that's ever been on television on any network. It aired for over 40 years. I think actually it may have even touched into 50 years of airtime. And so Jerry and his company, his whole family's involved. Mike, Matt, and Shannon, his three of his children, are deeply involved in outdoor television, and I've actually worked for all three of them at one time or another, whether it's on Bassmaster, Saltwater Experience, Into the Blue, Super Retriever Series, Water Dog TV, all that stuff. They produced legendary television shows like Walker's Cay Chronicles with Flip Pallett. Shannon was the producer and editor for Jose Wahebe's Spanish Fly, which everyone knows. Those two right there were probably the two most famous fishing shows on television for many, many years, and it all came out of JM Studios. So then Jerry helped start ESPN Outdoors, which is his connection there, and that's a really cool story. We'll have to talk about it on another episode, but when he merged ideas and concepts with ESPN, that spawned.
Oh, I think Jake just got kicked out. Hold on a second. Hold on, Jake. He's coming back.
Who got kicked out, me or you?
You did. I don't know why, but you came right back, so that's good.
Okay, cool. That's that. We did not know that was going to happen, and now we know. And
I was like, oh, beep.
Yeah. So anyway, as ESPN Outdoors grew, so did outdoor television into TNN or TNT, the Outdoor Channel. There were shows or networks long ago called the Men's Channel. All these different spaces that provided outdoor television. And I guess I got off on a tangent, but to get back to that question that Trevor Tucker asked, ESPN did not contact me. I've done work for ESPN through the Winter X Games, but this is a JM Associates project. They sell the content for the airtime on ESPN2, but it's JM's deal 100%.
Thanks. So I think with the last few minutes here, we are going to do our product snapshot. And this week, for the first episode, it's not going to be an actual product. It's a business. So we want to talk to you guys about robertscamera.com. So they are based out of Denver.
Indianapolis.
Right?
Indianapolis. Yep.
Indianapolis. And so it's really convenient. They're kind of mid-country. Their shipping is super fast, and their inventory is extensive. So we got a lot of our gear for the last season through Roberts Camera. Put in a big order with them, and like for instance, the sticks behind me are from them, and my latest body, I think, as well, my 5D4. Also, I think I ordered with them. Anyway, they have great customer service, and Jake had built a little bit of a relationship with them.
I met John Scott one of the managers at Roberts Camera at the ATA, or actually I left the ATA show and went to Roberts Camera during some downtime and met with him on the floor and was impressed. So we all buy our equipment from different places. B&H obviously is probably the biggest, powerhouse distribution center for camera equipment literally on the planet. They have great service, they have great products, their customer service is always willing to return items and all those things. And then we have eBay and Amazon and all these different other spaces, Adorama cameras where we buy things. But we wanted to build a relationship with a smaller, more intimate company called, like Jess said, called Roberts Camera, and we've done that. So, what they are is a mini version of B&H. I mean, they have everything pretty much. They'll match the prices that B&H offers.
I think they're just missing the robots and the conveyor belts, but they basically got everything else going on as the big guys.
Yeah, and if you're ever in Indianapolis, go find Roberts Camera and go in their store. It's really cool. It's like, a 6-year-old kid walking into Toys R Us or something. It's just a fascinating place. They have a big used department, so look in their used department either online at robertscamera.com. When you go to the store, go to the far back end of the store. They've got a huge space in there with open cabinets with used equipment that you can look at and buy and test things out. So
I was talking to you last year about getting a new tripod, just lightweight, easy to get around with, and you had recommended the one behind me, the carbon sticks. And when I contacted Roberts Camera about them, I didn't even know this, but there was a really nice rebate involved with them. So they shared the rebate information with me. And of course, the color I wanted was back ordered. So they worked with me to make sure that I got it in a decent amount of time. So it was really, really good interacting with them, and everything has gone smooth so far.
Yeah, so that's our product snapshot of the day, Roberts Camera. If you're looking for stuff, at least give them a look. You can find them on eBay. You can find them online. You can find them on social media, Instagram. It's just Roberts Camera. And again, robertscamera.com. So someone said your screen is smaller than mine now.
It was. I can change how the screens go, and you were talking, so I gave you the floor.
Gotcha. Very good. So that's George asks, among all the camera gear and gadgets that you own, is there one thing you wish you hadn't purchased? If I could answer that from my perspective, no. There's nothing that I've invested in. Even if it was a waste of my money, I learned something from it. And I feel like when you look back at all the equipment you buy and all the things that you've done to try to promote your business or just get out there and start a professional, business model, everything that you do, right or wrong, becomes a stepping stone to the next thing, I believe.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, there's definitely some pieces that I bought where they did not live up to the expectation or accomplish what I wanted them to, but it's just a lesson. I mean, I should have just bought the more expensive thing that had the features I needed in the beginning. So whether I learned how to work around the issues the lesser products had given me, or just decided to advance to something a little more heavy duty, you just learned a lesson there. So, I mean, I've bought a few cheaper lenses that I did not like. I'm not going to name them, but it was just kind of one of those things where I was trying to save some money, so maybe I'll go with this lens, but I just ended up buying a second lens anyway because, I mean, the glasses, there's huge differences there. And I've also bought some underwater housing, some innovative underwater housing things. And none of them quite do the job that you expect them to do, and that's pretty risky when you've got your camera on the inside. So I would say if you're going to buy any underwater pieces, do not try to be budget friendly there.
No, I think this is actually a really good point because, everyone's got a budget. We all started out dirt cheap, trying to figure out what's the best bang for our buck. How do we get started? That's the number one question I get asked all the time. I've got $500. What's the best camera body and lens kit I can buy to start filming my own hunts? And so the truth of the matter is, whichever one fits you the best, whichever, you want to have a certain lens group, to accomplish the shots that you want to get. Yet at the same time, don't be afraid. We talk about our young friend Brandon Fein all the time. He's 15 years old. He's a waterfowl wildlife photographer extraordinaire. He started out with a $400 kit from Costco that he saved his money mowing lawns to buy, and he just started shooting photos, and they're amazing. There's grain, and there's some technical issues with his photos, but the composition, not now, but back then when he started, the composition was excellent. He learned how to use the functions on his camera on a $400 camera body 2-lens kit, and now he's blown up. He just got the cover of Wildfire magazine. He's got lots of different things coming up. He's taking off, and it all started with something very cheap. So don't think you got to go out and buy a Red, you got to go out and buy a $6,000 Canon or Nikon to get started. Get what you can, make the best of it, and then you're going to start climbing that ladder. Don't ever give up.
I agree. So, no, George, there's no piece that we wish we didn't buy because we learned something from it. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I think that's the end of the first episode.
Wow, that went by fast.
I know.
That was fun, Jess.
It was fun. It's always fun talking with you. But over the next week, we will promote the topics for next week. And I think we're scheduled for the same time. So it'll be Tuesdays, what is this, 10:30 Eastern time, and then however it goes back.
10:30 Eastern. It's so funny that people don't get this, and I almost made that mistake this morning because I wasn't on time myself, but it's 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 8:30 Mountain, and 7:30 Pacific. So everybody's got time to wake up, get a cup of coffee, get a few things done. People on the West Coast are probably still have eye boogers and all that stuff, but everybody should be awake. So join us. If you don't catch the show live, then you can catch us on the download. And there may be some times, you and I are going to have to talk about this, Jess, because there may be some times where I may be in a remote location, or we both may be in a remote location working on a project or hunting or doing something fun with our family or whatever, where this may not be feasible. So there may be times where we miss a week, or there may be times where perhaps we schedule a guest for one of the hosts, either Jess or I, where we can interact with someone else because the other host is gone. So, we're gonna wing it at first, and we're gonna learn a lot. Hang in there with us. Hopefully, we'll be entertaining, and this will last for a long time. I really hope so. I like the way it's going so far.
Yeah. So stay tuned if you guys have questions or comments. This will be up on the Facebook page. It's a video after this, so you'll be able to rewatch it and leave us any notes or anything like that.
Yeah. Feel free to input even after the show on the download. Input questions or comments, or if it sucks, then tell us it sucks. If you loved it, tell us you love it, because that's what encourages us to do more. Again, thanks everybody for being here. It was a great time as always, Jess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jake. See you later.
Bye-bye.